All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Sam Riley. I'm one of the principals at Elixo. Our goal here today is to educate all of you on some of the ways AI can be beneficial to your organizations and kind of help you with some of the considerations you have to make concerning the security of your company's data when it comes to AI and how best to enable your staff to use it. Before we dive into the content, I wanted to highlight our Q&A. So at the top of your window, depending on which browser you're using, there's a Q&A button in Teams. Throughout the call today, you can enter questions, and we're going to do our best to answer those throughout the call as the content matches up with what we're talking about. And then we'll also have a time set aside at the end of the call that we will get through as many of those Q&A questions as possible. So feel free to start submitting those as soon as you would like, and we're going to keep an eye on those throughout the call. But do look for that button at the top of your screen there. And feel free to throw us a curveball. We have some smart people on the call today. Besides not talking about myself, there's other good people on here, and we should be able to answer most of those. First off, we are going to start with a survey here. Let me pull this up for you. So if you have your phone out, go and scan that QR code. Oh, there it is, it's loading. There we go. Go ahead and scan that QR code, and it will just take you to a window you can use to answer that survey about how your organization is using AI now. And you can see the answers there, but we just kind of wanted to get a poll for where everyone's at and see how you guys are using it now. Awesome. I already see some answers coming in. Great. Okay, so actually this is more balanced than I would have expected. We do see, a lot of people use it occasionally for random tasks. I would have been surprised if that wasn't the top one. But more of you have kind of come further down the road than I would have guessed. So we're happy to see that, and we can help you further down that journey throughout the call here today. That's great. I'll go ahead and close that now. All right. All right. Quick note about Elixo. Many of you have been clients for a long time. Those of you who don't know us, we're an IT managed service provider. We specialize in helping businesses operate securely in the cloud. We have been around since 2009. We've got a lot of clients that have been with us since that first year, and we're very proud of that. We really take service seriously and then mix that in with the systems and security to back it up, with the goal really of taking stuff that typically is only available at an enterprise level. I'll throw out some alphabet soup like MDR and SOC and SIM, and bringing those tools down to any business, no matter what your size is, whether it's 10 users or 300, and helping you stay safe that way. We've got great staff. Our average Elixo tenure is over 7 years for our employees right now, and we're very proud of that. If you've ever worked in the tech industry, that is an anomaly. And again, very proud of that. Wanted to highlight just a couple things we did this year. We achieved the Microsoft Solutions Partner designation for modern work. That basically means that Microsoft has recognized that we know how to use their 365 cloud platform very well. And that took a lot of certification of our staff, as well as different thresholds they make you reach within the Microsoft platform to get. And then secondly, we achieved our SOC 2 Type 2. That is a security certification that is industry agnostic, but basically means that someone came in and audited all of our security policies and procedures and said they're good to go. And we've added that to our NIST 800-171 compliance, as well as our HIPAA compliance. So we are very well suited to work in just about any industry. Presenters, I already introduced myself, but I am, again, I'm Sam Riley. I'm one of the principals and co-founders at Elixo. My background is in basically all things IT, but specifically cybersecurity and networking have been my primary functions over the years. We also have Brad Hall from Elixo. He is a Microsoft certified expert, which means he's very smart. That is not an easy cert to get, but if you have questions about anything Microsoft, he's your guy, and he'll be answering some of the questions during the Q&A and during the demo as well. And then we have a special guest. You can see on here, Mike Davies. There's Mike. He is the business development manager for modern work at SureWeb. SureWeb is a great Elixo partner that helps us with the Microsoft licensing side of things, as well as things like this webinar. And they have a lot of great content and expertise in that area. So we have him on here just to work through some of the content with us and provide his insight. So again, thank you, Mike, for being here. And he'll have an opportunity to introduce himself more fully a little bit later in the presentation here.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Thanks. All right, AI is everywhere. I found best 4 I could find here when I was making this. If AI could fix my golf game, I would have that piece of equipment you see right there, but it doesn't work, I promise. Robot vacuums, there's an obvious one. Tesla is, doubling down on robots. They think that's their future, even more than cars, depending on who's giving the announcements. I'm not sure I would use AI-powered play for my kids yet, but that is also a thing. It was won some awards this year, but it's everywhere. It's the buzzword, what companies are using to sell their products. But we need to get beyond that and decide and help you decide, what can AI actually do to help your business? Because it can't just be a buzzword that you spend some money on this year and decide next year it doesn't do much for you. But there's a lot of questions around that. It's why we're here today. We want to get beyond all the hype and help you guys figure out the answers to these kind of questions. What are the risks? How do I keep my company's data safe? Which AI should I be using? Because that's huge. I mean, you throw a rock and you hit one every time. There's more models than I can even keep track of. What will it cost, if anything? Maybe you already have access to one you can use. How do you train your staff to use it effectively? And I know most of these things are questions that at least some of you have asked. Maybe you haven't. Maybe it's just something that you need to be aware of now, and we're going to help educate you on that. All right, and then we have another survey question here for you. Give me one moment. All right, that should be pulling up. There we go. So again, pull out your phones. Go ahead and look at that. All right, this is more in line with the answer I expected. Unsure. I think that is the most common thing we see when we're working with companies, is that they maybe have some idea that they have a certain safeguard in place for the AI app they're using, but most people don't really know. I'm glad to see some of you are confident in your AI, but then there's a lot there that are not confident. So the majority of you are at least unsure or not confident in what you're using now. And again, we aim to help that. So awesome. Thank you for answering that. I'll give people just a couple more seconds to answer here. All right, sorry, we're back a couple slides. All right, these are actually some slides from SureWeb's presentation, so Mike recognizes these, but we just kind of wanted to talk through some of the challenges that companies face and then the ways we know that it can help you succeed as a business. So first of all, in this day and age, there are a lot of tasks that have become challenging. Things like data entry, analyzing that data, making meaningful decisions with it. It's not always intuitive. It requires a lot of human driven process. There's a lot of error involved whenever you have a human do a task a bunch of times. AI is great at eliminating that. It's going to help us be more efficient and get through those challenges. It's also going to help us then, this is the flip side to that other slide there. It's going to help employees. They're going to be able to do more with their time. They're not going to feel stuck. They're going to reduce the time they spent on those kind of monotonous routine tasks and give them more time to spend on like creative pursuits, thinking about ideas to make your company better and not just kind of doing the same thing day in, day out. This is the kind of reality of AI right now. This is from the Work Trends Index annual report last year. 53% of small businesses say they don't have enough time or energy to keep up with their work. So there's a problem. The majority of you on here, if you're part of the statistic, don't have enough time or energy to keep up with your work. So we're looking for ways to help that. 45% say expanding capacity through digital labor is a top priority in the next 12 to 18 months. That is in general code for AI. They're looking for ways to use tools like AI to be able to increase their capacity. And I'll just speak from our experience at Elixo. We've used AI and automation to really drive this over the last couple years now. It's not that we're a full AI on everything, but we've been able to take the staff we have and continually do more with less. And so we've really seen the real world application of that kind of automation. So, and you can ask our staff, I think they're all pretty happy now. And this is one is 80% say their employees are bringing their own AI tools to work. So this is a security concern first, as someone with a cybersecurity background. This means that whether you have an AI in place or not, they're bringing their own, your staff are, and you don't know what they're doing with that data. The problem with bringing your own AI is that as soon as you put data in a model, it can use that data to learn for its own use, which means if you drop a payroll spreadsheet in there, it's going to have that data. Now, will it just give that to the next person? Probably not, but you can't control it, and you run the risk of having your company's data spread out far more widely than you should. And then I'm going to address this one next question here before we dive into the rest of it. Why Copilot and not ChatGPT? ChatGPT was the first. It's the one most of us probably used for the first time when we used AI. But what it does is it does not have the guardrails needed to protect your business data, like I said before. So you need to have something that you can use for your company data safely and not worry about it getting out to the rest of the internet. And Copilot has done that. So what they've done is they've actually taken the OpenAI model from ChatGPT and put those guardrails around it. And then they've actually taken it one step further, though, and supercharged it. So instead of having to copy paste every piece of data you want into Copilot, or sorry, into ChatGPT, Copilot can actually look at all of your data as you permit it and take information from your Word documents, from your calendar, from whatever sources it wants, that again, as you've allowed it, and it can give you a much better picture of what is going on with your data and better answers to the questions you ask it. I've heard the statement many times that, oh, my answers are always better when I use ChatGPT. My response to that is every time you ask an AI something, it's going to give you a different answer. So that day, yeah, it might have given you a better answer in ChatGPT, but Copilot's using the same model as ChatGPT. So GPT 5.2 now is the current one, and that is what Copilot is using under the hood. So as far as the reasons to stay with ChatGPT, there really aren't many.
Yeah, Sam, just to add to that, one thing that Microsoft has done is they've added an intelligence layer recently within the last 2 to 3 months that makes the context in which your prompts and your queries go through much more enriched experience. So now it understands not just what and where, but the how you interact with people, your tendencies, preferences, and it's got a much better feel to it over the last few months as they roll this new intelligence layer out.
Yep, exactly. And I apologize. I see in the Q&A that a couple people mentioned the slides are not showing. They should be broadcasting. I will toggle it on and off and see if that lets you guys see it, but they do show that they're on our end here. So apologies for that. It should be back on shortly here. Loading again. All right, but with that, I'm actually going to hand it off to Mike to pull up his portion of the presentation, and we'll let him present that here now. So give us just a minute to make that transition.
Thanks, Sam. Let me just I'll steal the screen share here and what my presentation. Let me know once you can see it. Are we good? Sorry, Sam. Are we good? Oh yeah. Okay, I'm seeing the thumbs up now. Perfect.
I've got thumbs
okay.
up.
Just
Thank
had
you.
a bit of a
Yep.
delay there. Much appreciated. All right. So, talking specifically about Microsoft Copilot. So, Microsoft Copilot is the interface for Microsoft's AI. It has the same GPT model as Sam mentioned, and it is the interface. They have branded and named just about everything Microsoft Copilot. There was even a rumor that they were going to rename Office to Copilot. That's not the case, but this is kind of your interface to Copilot. There's a few different versions that we're going to talk about in terms of the different versions of Copilot that you will have access to or might need to get a user license for to gain access to. And we'll talk about the differences between them. But really, Copilot is the user interface. There is a desktop application, there's a web version. Sometimes you'll see it in Teams. All of those kind of that interface should look similar or the same, whether that's on a mobile app, a desktop app, a web app. All of it should look fairly similar and get the same experience. And then with that, you also have the ability to access agents, which I will touch on briefly what they are, but that's not the purpose of today's conversation. We're going to focus on how you can use Copilot as your AI assistant in your day-to-day world, not necessarily leveraging agents at this point. So we'll jump into the different flavors of it here. So the three core versions that there are of Microsoft Copilot is the Copilot chat functionality. So Microsoft Copilot chat is the no-cost version that is included with all Microsoft base licenses. And with that, that gives you essentially a secure version of ChatGPT. So this allows you to query against any web content, live internet querying. It allows you to generate content with a large language model. It's going to live within your Microsoft environment, so it's more secure than leveraging a third-party tool. But know that anything that you put into it or it spits out to you is not being used to train any foundational model, which is really important. The next version of that is going to be the Microsoft 365 Copilot and the Microsoft 365 Copilot Business licensed users. So this is a add-on license. This gives you the full version of Microsoft Copilot. And these two versions are identical except for where they can be utilized in terms of how large your organization is. If you're an enterprise organization leveraging high grade licensing from Microsoft, you're going to be looking at the Microsoft 365 Copilot. If you use business tier licensing under 300 seat organization, you're going to be leveraging the Microsoft 365 Copilot Business SKU. So that's the extent of the difference between the two. It's just who can use them. The functionality between the two are identical. So just to give you an example here of kind of the functional differences between the two. So with chat, you can use it, Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat, to query the web. You can upload singular files to it. You can even use it within your productivity applications in a limited fashion. So a recent update is you can use it to interact with whatever is on your screen within your productivity applications. So what that might look like is interacting with a specific email. If you're using it in Outlook, you could ask it to summarize an email or ask it to draft an email response to that specific email, whatever's on your screen. When you use the Microsoft 365 Copilot Business or the full Copilot license, it is going to be able to understand and ingest all of the business data that you have access to. So what that looks like is when I use Copilot, it has an understanding of everything I interact with, every person within my organization that I work with, everybody external that I've interacted with in a meeting, within Teams. It's going to ingest all of that information, and I am able to prompt, query, and ask questions of everything that I do within my workday that I have access to. Now, what I'm not able to do is ask questions of things that I don't have access to, or I can, but it just won't have that information. So one of the things that Copilot does when you are using it with business data is it is going to have a multiple checks along the way for access to information. So I can't ask it for something that exists in my colleague's email that I wasn't copied on. I don't have access to that. Copilot can't see that for me and won't return an answer if I ask it something about my boss's email. It's not going to reply with.
Yep. It's going to follow the same permissions you already have in your Microsoft tenant. You wouldn't be able to open your boss's mailbox either. Yep.
Exactly. Yep. That's exactly it. So the big one here that's kind of sets this apart from leveraging ChatGPT or Anthropic model or any of the other ones is that this tool set will seamlessly integrate into your existing productivity applications that you're using today, and it comes with all the same security policies that already exist. So if you have really great permission structure, you have really great security policies in place within your Microsoft environment, Copilot's going to adhere to those same policies. So you have the confidence that you can use it with the same security structure, rather than not having control over what happens to your data when you put a document into another AI tool, where you really don't have control over how they're using it or how they're going to leverage that data going forward. From an AI adoption perspective, we're going to be talking today about the individual productivity, but typically we see people leveraging AI for efficiency gains, saving yourself time, finding information faster, and then it goes to working within a team or functional workflows, and then finally it is integrating AI into full business processes that are really run or augmented by AI on a consistent basis. So that's kind of the adoption that we see from an impact of AI, and everybody starts at that individual productivity, and that's where we're going to focus today. That is really where people will pick up the foundational skills, understand where they can leverage Copilot, and it's going to be different for everybody where they really use it the most. I'm sure Sam and I use Copilot in very different ways, even though we live in the same industry. We do similar things. He might love it for using it in Teams and AI notes. I use it to create and structure my PowerPoint presentations. So I know we're going to get into a demo here, and we'll show off some of that great stuff. But that's really kind of the foundational skills that we want to talk about today. One of the things I've touched on is agents. So there is Copilot for each individual user, and then agents are specific to business processes or processes. The difference here is you're going to have your individual ad hoc uses of Copilot that you're going to leverage for your AI assistant. Find me this file, help me draft this email, summarize this Word document. All of those are ad hoc asks that you're going to go through. With agents, it is a pre-canned instructions and context are already created, and it's going to perform a specific function in a similar manner and give you a consistent outcome each time. So a good example of this would be, I want to interact with, I want an HR policy manual agent because an HR rep gets asked 10 questions a day on the things that exist within our HR policies. We create an agent that references that HR policy manual, and now employees can go ask questions of it, and it's going to give a consistent answer. It's going to be able to take that burden off of somebody to answer all of those questions again and again and again. That's where an agent comes into play. We talked about why Microsoft is the best tool set. It's because it's built on trust. It exists within your already existing Microsoft tenant and all of your security policies. Some of the keys to that is they encrypt data both in transit and at rest. They give you the ability to control your data, meaning you have the ability to set permissions to see who has what internally. You also have the ability to cover data security in the manner that fits you best. So if you deal with highly sensitive information and data, customer data, you can control how that gets either consumed by Copilot, not consumed by Copilot at all, or gives you the ability to say, how is that information then shared externally or not shared externally, depending on your requirements or preferences. And then one thing that I will call out that always seems to be a question is copyright risks. So by leveraging Microsoft owns the burden of what Copilot creates from a copyright perspective. So Microsoft's got their army of lawyers that cover you in your use of Copilot. So you don't have to be concerned about, I've used Copilot to generate a document and it's gone and pulled information from web sources, and now I'm in a copyright battle. By agreeing to the terms and conditions and using Copilot, Microsoft has the burden of copyright that they have to deal with, not you. So we talked about chat. It is really the no-cost version, and we're going to get into the details there. You can use agents with chat, but it is in a metered consumption fashion. And the full version is Copilot Chat with the full license grounds your queries in work data as well. It gives you a lot more comprehensive agent access, so unlimited use of agents. It gives you a lot more management capabilities that are really beneficial when you start utilizing it for business data. So very very briefly, talking about why would you want to use one versus the other. You can use Copilot Chat and Copilot 365 within your productivity applications, but this gives you a real difference between how you can use them. You can see in the Copilot Chat, I can interact with things that are on my screen. I can ask it to draft an email recap based on what you can see. But when I'm out of the office, I can ask it to analyze my inbox and come back with high priority unread emails. I currently have a scheduled prompt that messages me every morning and says, please send me a list of emails that I didn't respond to from that I received yesterday that were addressed to me. So now I know every morning if I missed an email yesterday, I'm going to get an update with it that's like, hey, you got to go check this one. You didn't respond to this one and it was addressed to you. So now I go from missing an email here or there to now I get an update on it and I'm going to see it every morning. It's the first thing I do when I come in and sit down at my desk every day. So there's a lot of great.
What we've seen with this one to highlight while you're on this page is most people find that most of their staff can really take advantage of the free version, those first four check marks. And then as they get their feet under them and understand how AI is working for them, they tend to come back and say, oh, I really want to do more with it now. Can I get a paid license? And that's when they get upgraded to the other one. And that's a very natural flow. You know, it's kind of, you got to put training wheels on for a little while. But once you're ready to take those off, then and those staff will usually ask you for it. You know, they've seen what AI can do and they go, oh, I could see that it could do this thing in my spreadsheet and I really need the paid version now. And then you can come turn that on for just them. It doesn't have to be for the whole company. It's an individual license thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so there are kind of 10 different reasons here. I don't need to read them all off to you. There's a bunch of different reasons that you would want to upgrade, but typically people are going to start with the free version. Leverage it as the secure version of ChatGPT so that you're at least keeping control of your data for your business and being able to leverage AI throughout your business, throughout your day-to-day role. And with that, let's get into it. Let's get into a demo because that's the fun stuff, and that's where we can really show off kind of the differences here. So I'll bring up my.
And while he's pulling that up, we'll see if we can answer a couple of our first Q&A questions here.
Yeah.
It was asked if this meeting was going to be recorded, and we answered that one in the chat. But yes, it will be recorded, and you'll get a link if we're registered. But if you'd like a copy, you can also reach out to me directly, and we'll get that to you for sure. There is a question about the price difference between Copilot and Copilot Business. In short, remind me which one it is, Mike. The Copilot Business is the cheaper one. Is that right?
That's correct.
Microsoft came out with that one basically to make it more accessible to small businesses. Originally, it required a very long-term commitment for the Copilot license, and it was more expensive, and they've made it more price effective. And that's something, it'll vary based on how your company's licensing is set up, but feel free to talk to us afterwards if you're interested. And then last question we have right now is, can we influence the agent's response? And I think what they're asking is just, what can the agent do that maybe Copilot can't by itself? And generally what you've done with an agent is you've actually given it prompts in advance. You've basically told it, like, for example, with that HR agent, you tell it what it is. You tell it what data source it should be using. Like, you should be using this manual. You should be answering questions of this type, and giving a link to where it is in the manual. That kind of thing. And then when the user comes along and uses that agent, that's the data they're going to get. It's whatever you've made that agent to do. Yeah. They're not going to be able to come in and ask for pizza recipes of your HR agent. It'll say, that's not really what I'm designed for. But if you want to know about the pizza party we host once a year, that I have in my listing here.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You'll be able to really, a good agent will be really specified in what it can do. You don't necessarily want an agent that can do absolutely everything. You want it to be really good and defined at one particular thing or two particular things. And then from there, you can influence it, like Brad said, with some good design of your prompts. But that's really kind of the extent to which you want agents to be influenced. All right, so I'm using the desktop version. I am using the M365 Copilot application. I am signed in with my work email, and I know I am because I have this little green shield here that says Enterprise Data Protection is in place. There are two desktop apps. One is for personal use and one is for work use. So you want the one with the little 365 tag on it. And with that, if you have a Copilot license like I do, you will see this toggle between work and web. If you do not see that, then that is you're using the chat functionality or the free version of Copilot. You will still have the little green shield, so you are secure. You're using it in a secure manner, and you will be able to prompt against the internet, prompt against individual files. So if I go in here and say, okay, great, rewrite this to sound less verbose, or draft an email based on the feedback I'm getting on a PowerPoint slide that I've received. All of these things can deal with individual files. It can deal with individual interactions and whatever it kind of exists on a screen. This also includes PDFs. So you can upload a PDF and ask it to read through and understand a PDF as well. Ask it to summarize it, so on and so forth. You can do this as one-offs. If you click on work, that's where it's then going to look at my business data first and understand what's going on within SureWeb for me. And I can ask it things like, what outstanding action items do I have from my boss? And then it's going to go and validate, okay, who do I report to? Okay, what interactions have I had with my boss? Okay, and what have I done that has come out of any action items, whether that's email, Teams, recordings, chats. It's going to query all of it and then say, yep, here's the 2 things that you owe him, and here's the 3 things that you've done in the last day for your boss. When's my next one-on-one with a particular person? Find all of that. It ingests all that stuff. One of my favorites is the help me prepare me for my day. So beyond what emails did I miss yesterday, it's help me prepare for my day. It's going to give me a list of my meetings, who they're with, what the context is for all of them, and some suggestions on things that I should review or brush up on prior to the meeting. So it's a pretty powerful tool set to be able to summarize and interact with that. All of this exists. This is the same as the web application. Some people will use it in Teams. I prefer the desktop application because I'm old and I like desktop applications rather than using the web. But yeah, that's kind of where I exist here. With the paid for version as well, you get access to agents, both custom created agents and Microsoft out of the box agents. So Researcher is a much more deeper experience than a quick answer. When I'm working here, I'm going to get a quick answer. I'm going to get very fast responses. When I use Researcher, it's going to ask me a lot of questions. It's going to ask me to validate some things. And I'm going to pick, where's my latest kind of all conversations. You can see here, I've got my history. You can see here which agents I've used as well. So let me just pull up my Masterclass Roadshow prompt that I that I did here. So this is I've used the researcher agent here, and I've asked it to update on the status of a class that I run on AI. So Sam was at this event that we did in Seattle at the Microsoft headquarters. I want to know how the series of events are going. We've run one so far, and you can see here it's asking me questions. What am I looking for when I just say update me on the status of the series of the events? What am I looking for? Am I looking for just specific to the Copilot Masterclass? Do I want just previous events or upcoming events? I said, give me both. So it goes through and gives me a brief summary and says, yep, we were at the Microsoft headquarters. We ran it on December 3rd. We had about 25 attendees. Gives me some details. We got a 9.2 out of 10 from a satisfaction rating. Great. And then it gives me, here are the upcoming sessions that I have. So this is a pretty robust report. And the interesting thing here is it is pulling from a tremendous amount of sources. So these little toggles that you can see here, or these little buttons, shows you where it's pulling that information from. And each paragraph you see here is pulling from 5 or 6 different sources.
That looks like it's pulling from what, a PDF you have, a few different emails you've sent. Yeah, just about anywhere. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's pulling from chats, emails, call recordings. It's going to pull from absolutely everywhere. So,
and Mike, I gave you a 10, so I wasn't the reason your average went down there. I'm sorry.
No, much appreciated, Sam. I'm very happy with a 9.2. That's great. That's a passing grade anywhere. So that's great. There's a lot of kind of out of the box functionality here. I'd love to show it off in some productivity applications as well. Sam, where do you use Copilot the most, or what do you use it for the most?
Oh, good question. I think we have found features like the Teams facilitator and just the transcription features there very handy. The meeting recaps have been great. And then it's kind of situational after that. There's times I find a spreadsheet that it like changes everything, and other times I'm like, I don't really need it for that one, but it's really handy. And then the single biggest time save I think I've ever had was when we were actually writing some of our security policies this year related to our SOC 2. Those do not need to be original. They do not need to be, fancy. You want them to be industry standard. So letting Copilot help me write those, you can basically say, I need a whatever policy it was, bring your own device use policy. And it will, look at all of the ones in existence online, create one based on that, and spit something out 30 seconds later that then I can take and modify. You don't take it just right out the gate, but it was a huge time savings. Like probably 50 plus hours of time I saved in a 3-month period, not having to handwrite policies.
Yeah, it is truly a time saver. So I'll show you a quick kind of version of that. So when I go into Microsoft Word, I have a describe what I'd like to draft with Copilot right across the top. You can see I'm in a blank document, and that's the most daunting place to start, is trying to write a policy document or something that is going to be very long-winded. And so I'm just going to take a quick view here of I'd like to create an AI use policy addendum to my company IT use.
And this is something all of you will need after listening to this call and starting to use AI in your companies, because that is going to be one of those first important steps, is having a document that you can give to your staff that says what they're supposed to do with AI and where they're not supposed to use it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's in this case, because I have the existing, I'm using the work version. It's not just creating out of nothing. It's going to go through and look at what my current IT policy is today. But as you can see, it's going to go through here and generate my AI use policy addendum, it's going to ask me for feedback once it's gone through and completed this. And I find with all tools, AI tools like this, it is going to get me 80 to 90% of the way there. And then there's going to be some tweaking that I want to manage through it. It is Copilot, not fully the pilot. I still have to have a hand on the wheel, and it is. But this does look good. I can go through and say, okay, you know what? I want to make this a little bit longer. I can edit this, but for the purpose of this, great. I'm going to say, you know what? This looks fine. Let's acceptable use. This seems fairly generic. Please update to make Copilot the only acceptable AI tool. And then it's going to go through and edit this again to say, okay, great. Now we're putting into the scope of this. This is the only tool set that is approved for business use.
Yep. Just had a great question come in. Do we trust AI to write our AI use policy? And what a great question. You do still need to verify it afterwards, but yes, that is a great question. It may be trying to take over. If it says it can do anything it wants or something like that, you're going to want to take that out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. If it says I vow to give my AI unlimited access to all information at all times, and act in my stead. Yeah, probably not the best thing.
Should include the 3 laws of robotics or something in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. So let's say I've created this now. Let me just quickly save this. So one thing that I could do here is go through process of leveraging this. So let's say I wanted to then present this in a presentation. Let's say I had an executive team where I wanted to have a quick presentation where I discuss with them why we need an AI policy, what it would include, but I want this in a PowerPoint presentation now that I'm going to present, just a couple of slides. I could do that through PowerPoint and reference the other file. So I could come into my PowerPoint application and go create with Copilot, get it to reference the document that I just created on my addendum and say, I have an executive pitch to discuss why we need this AI use policy, what the benefits are going to be, how we're going to enforce it, so on and so forth. And then I can write here and use this as a reference file if I'd saved it. So I could go through and say, okay, great. I'm going to pick said file, go through, and then it's going to generate that. Now, with that, I also have the presentation design. So if I had a templated SureWeb template here from my organization, I could leverage that, and it's going to adhere to my marketing standards as well. So my marketing team would love that. If I had a templated PowerPoint presentation, I could go use that, and then I know I'm adhering to my standards and not going to get slapped on the wrist for just making up what our logo looks like and doing something in Microsoft Paint and getting in trouble for it. So I won't necessarily pull that up exactly here. I know we're getting close to time here. I want to make sure we deal with any questions, anything that people want to see, and make sure we're addressing any of the kind of use cases. Those are kind of some easy common use cases and how people can utilize it. But I'll pause.
We got a couple other good questions here. Before we answer those, if anyone has like a specific, use case they'd be interested in seeing, maybe in a specific Microsoft application, feel free to ask that. Maybe we can wrap up our demo with that.
Yeah.
And if there aren't any of those, though, then we can start getting these other few questions here.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, we'll answer one of them while we wait. So Brad already answered this one in chat, but just to pull it up for everybody here, with the right permissions, can it provide a company-wide view of how we are doing with customers? Example, please let me know the last time we talked to each of our clients or something along those lines, or what their mood is. And Brad had a great answer, but yeah, it can. With the right permissions, so the person doing it needs to have, or the agent needs to have the correct permissions to get to those things. But if you set it up correctly, you could 100% do that. Yes.
Yeah,
And
you
then
can. I'll also highlight that with the sales agent, if you leverage Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce, this sales agent has a native integration where I can come through and ask about a specific customer, and say, what was the latest touch point we had with this customer, or something along those lines. You can see there's who at our company has the best relationship with said customer, things along those lines. So this is a really powerful tool from a sales perspective, relationship management perspective. This is included within the paid for license version. If you don't use those tool sets, there are ways to do it. It needs to be configured correctly to get that data accessible, but it can absolutely be done.
Yep. Here's kind of a functional one. How do you go about comparing two documents like contracts and pull out the differences between them? Is that a feature available in the chat version? It's a good question. I have to think about that one.
That's a good question. So I don't believe you could do it in the chat version, mainly because you're essentially working with whatever's on your screen or a singular uploaded document. With the paid for version, absolutely, you can reference multiple files, ask it for the differences between the two, but not necessarily something that you can do in the chat version.
Great. And then how do you isolate data from AI access? And we kind of touched on this earlier, but it starts with just whatever you have access to. So if you have access to a shared folder in your organization, if you have access to a shared calendar or someone else's mailbox, even through the existing permissions, like if you're in Microsoft and you have Exchange permissions to view another calendar, it's going to be able to use the same permissions you have. It's not going to be able to go beyond that, though. So again, like he said earlier, it's not going to be able to go to your boss's calendar or your boss's email if you don't already have access to it. Same with employees below you. If they don't have access to much, if they just have their own little mailbox and they don't have any Teams permissions, they're only going to be able to work with that data. They're not going to be able to go out beyond that.
Yeah.
So it starts with having a really good security policy in place and folder permissions in place. Because if that's a mess in your company, it really is already a problem. You just maybe haven't realized it because AI is not out searching, but that employee with enough curiosity could already go find that stuff. And an AI would just be enabling them to do it a little quicker. So if you don't have that in place, highly recommend doing that first before you roll out AI.
Yeah, there's also from a global perspective, the ability to create a blind spot for Copilot for specific sections of SharePoint, for example. So without getting too deep into the weeds technically, you've got the function to say, I would like to have Copilot not look at my HR SharePoint site. So at the site level, you can say anything that's accounting or SharePoint or HR, I don't want Copilot to look at that. I don't want people to be able to ask anything of that data set. So you can turn that off. That isn't really a long-term strategy. What you mentioned, Sam, is fix your permission sets so that only the appropriate people can query against it. But as a stopgap measure, you can absolutely just turn off Copilot from accessing particular sets of data.
Great. Probably have time for one, maybe two more questions here, and I've got one already. So our brand book has guidelines on our brand voice. Can we set it up so writings across the team are in that voice or tone?
Yeah, actually, that's a fairly new functionality where you can have your brand voice be the kind of guiding principles of Copilot. So that is a fairly new functionality. So especially when it comes to drafting emails and content that's going to be shared publicly, you can have that kind of be a guiding principle for Copilot.
And then you can also do that on a case-by-case basis. If you're building something like an agent, you can tell the agent what voice you want, whether that be super formal or not, or again, if you have a branded one that's well-defined, it can take that as well.
Yeah.
All right. All right, well, I don't have any more questions coming in, so I've got just one final slide here. So we've shared a lot of information today. Obviously, some of it's pretty straightforward. Once you get the hang of it, others may raise more questions than you thought you had going into today. If you want to talk to us more about it, the booking link that's on your screen now, you should be able to see if someone wants to give me a thumbs up. We'll let you just schedule a meeting directly, and you'll be able to chat with us about how you're using AI in your organization, about the Microsoft licensing required to use it. Thank you for those thumbs up. Appreciate the positive feedback. We'd love to chat with you. Again, we are an IT company as well, so if there are IT needs you have, well, Elixo, that's our special thing. We do great service, great security along with it. We'd love to talk to you about that too. Haven't seen any other questions come in, so Mike, thank you for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining. This was a great time. We will send out probably a survey afterwards as well, just kind of collecting some feedback. And then again, you will be getting linked to the recording if there are others in your organization that you want to share this with. That will be available to you as soon as we have that published.
Perfect. Thanks, Sam. Much appreciated.
Yep.
Glad to
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bye now.